and welcome to Data Science Corner. Today, we are going to look into one of the SQL interview questions asked in Deloitte. So this is the input table we have been given, and this is the output table. And the question is, how many cases have reached each stage of completion from stage 1 to stage 5 for each center? So this query is structured to calculate the count of cases that have completed each stage, and it is grouped by center ID. Now, if we look into the output for stage 1, for center ID C1, we have count 2. Now, if we look into our input table for case ID 1, we have an input which is 1st January 2024, and there is a case ID 2 as well, 5th January 2024. So the count is 2. For stage 2 also, there is a count of 2. But if we see for case ID 1, stage 2 is null. For case ID 2, stage 2 is 10 January 2024. So it is counting this stage 2 null value for case ID 1 as well, because the case went from stage 1 to stage 4. So the count is 2. Now for stage 3, the count is 1. So for case ID 1, it went till stage 4. So this stage 3 is also counted. But for ID 2, it get completed in stage 2 itself. And it didn't went to any other stage, so it is not counted. So stage 3's count is 1. For stage 4 as well, the count is 1. Stage 5 for center ID 1, there are no cases, so the count is 0. In the similar way, for center ID 2, C2 and C3, these values are counted. Let's try to do it practically. Okay, so I have already written the query to create the table. So I am creating a table CaseProgress with center ID, case ID, stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's run this query to create the table. Now let's insert the values. So I'm inserting the values in CaseProgress. So these values are inserted in the similar way. We have the input table given in the question. So let's run this. Okay, now let's check our table. Select from CaseProgress. Okay, let's run this query. Okay, so we have created this table as well. You don't have to worry about this creating table and inserting the values. I'll be posting this in the description as well. So you can create the table, insert the values in one go, and directly go to the solution part. Okay. So now if we see, we have this table. Okay, it looks the same. So what we are going to do is, so this null values, right? So null values we won't be able to calculate. So these null values, what we will be doing is, we are going to replace this with the stage 4 values. See, we need to count the stages which has the last stage. So here, if you see, in stage 4, we have a value, we have a date, right? So these two values are null. So we have to count these two values as well. So we are going to replace these two values with this last stage 4 values. In the similar way, for C2, if we see, there is a date in stage 5, but stage 3 and stage 4 is null. So we are going to replace these null values with stage 5 value. The similar way we are going to do. We are not going to replace the values which is after this. Suppose in stage 4, right, there is a value 13 January, but stage 5 is null. We are not going to replace stage 5 value. We are only going to replace the previous values, previous null values. This we can do using callis. So we are going to use callis to fill the values. Okay, so let's write the query. Select. We need center ID, comma case ID. Now we are going to use the callis function. So let's inside the bracket stage 1, comma stage 2. Let me copy this. It will be easier. Stage 2, comma stage 3, comma stage 4, comma stage 5. Okay. So this we are going to give the alias as stage 1. Similarly, we are going to do for all the stages. Okay. So let me copy this. Let's paste it again. So we don't need stage 1 here. Okay, stage 2, 3, 4, 5. It will be stored at stage 2. Let's paste it again. So here we don't need stage 1 and 2. So remove this. Stage 3. Again, paste it. This is for stage 4. Now, we don't need to make any changes in stage 5. So stage 5 as it is. Yes, progress. Now let's run this query. Okay, there is a spelling error. Center. Let's run this again. Okay. So here we can see that we have replaced all the null values, the previous null values. See, in case ID, stage 2 and stage 3. Stage 2 and stage 3 are not null now. So it's done. Now all we need to calculate the value. So how this query is working is, so some stages have null values because the case has not reached that stage. Okay. So the calls function, it ensures that if a later stage has a date, all the earlier stages before the null are assumed to be completed. And this adjustment fills the gap in the data for accurate stage count calculations. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to store this inside a CTE. So it will be easier. Let's name it as filled stages as, let's put all of this inside the bracket. Okay. Now we need the count, right? So we are going to select. Let's copy this. We need center ID and case ID as well, right? So select center ID, case ID. Now we need the count of stage 1. We are going to save it as stage 1. Okay. So similarly, we are going to do for stage 3, 4, and 5. So let's copy this. Here it will be stage 2. We'll name it as stage 2 as well. Then stage 3. Okay, so let name it as stage 3. So similarly, we are going to do till stage 5. Here it will be stage 4. Will be as well. Here it is stage 5. Here as well. Let me put it here a little so it will look better. Okay. Now this comma won't be here. From this city we want the values. Okay. So from field stages, and we are going to group it by center ID. Okay. Center underscore ID. Now if we run this query as a whole, we are going to get our required output. Let's run this query. Okay, we are getting an error. Because of this case ID. So let's remove this. Now if we run this, we are going to get the output. Okay, we got our output. Center ID, stage 1, stage 2, 3, 4, 5. For C1, we have the count of 2 in stage 1. In stage 2, we have count of 2, stage 3, 1, stage 4, 1, stage 5, 0. Similarly, for C2 and C3, we have all the values. So here what we are doing is, bring it down. So, okay. So here what we are doing is we are calculating the count of cases that have completed each stage, stage 1 through 5. And then we are grouping the results by center ID to show how stage-wise progress for each center. This count functions counts the number of non-null values in each stages, since The collect function we have used ensures null values are replaced with dates from later stages. This count reflects the actual number of cases that have progressed to the stage or beyond. So this stage 1, it counts the number of cases at the center that have reached at least stage 1. Similarly, this count of stage 2, it counts the number of cases at the center that have reached at least stage 2. In the similar way, count of stage 3, 4, and 5 works. Okay, this is one of the interesting question. I hope you got an idea about how to handle this type of query. Thank you. We'll see you in the next video.